We will explain the Leverhulme Park scandal in clear-cut detail so that you can share this video with your friends, family and every other Boltonian. You need to truly understand the level of corruption that has taken place with the charity Leverhulme Park. Leverhulme Park consists of charitable land given by Lord Leverhulme and council-owned land to make what is known as Leverhulme Park. In 2016, Labour councillors block voted a Labour planning application to build a cycle track on the charitable land of Leverhulme Park for Labour councillor John Byrne. Our page, residents, friends of Leverhulme Park and a key player, Natalie Worthington, fought against this track and discovered serious levels of corruption. This is how a charity must be administrated. All income generated on charitable land must be kept separate from council finances. This is how Bolton Council administrated the charity. They put the money straight into their own finances. There was no separation of financial accounts. We are led to believe that Bolton Council have been helping themselves to the charitable income since 1963. This is how a charity must be administrated. All income generated must be registered in the annual financial returns. This is how Bolton Council administrated the charity. They registered zero income for the charity Leverhulme Park for the last 11 years, and we strongly believe they have always registered zero income going back to 1963. This means they have defrauded a charity of hundreds of thousands of pounds, if not millions of pounds, that has been generated from the charitable trust Leverhulme Park. This is how a charity must be administrated. All use of the financial income generated from the land must be approved by the trustee with documented minutes of said approval. This is how Bolton Council administrated the charity. Bolton Council have no minutes in which the trustee has ever approved the disposal of finances generated from the land, because the annual financial returns state zero income for the charitable trust Leverhulme Park. This is how a charity must be administrated. The council's role as the charity trustee must be open and transparent and highly accountable for their actions. This is how Bolton Council administrated the charity. After 8 months of investigation by this page, emails to Helen Gorman, the borough solicitor, emails to the legal department, emails to Labour councillors, questions asked at the area forum for Braitmer, did we establish that the trustee for the charity was... We didn't find out. It was only after Sir David Crosby contacted Bolton Council this June on an admin's behalf did Bolton Council Legal Department finally acknowledge the trustee for all charities and trusts was the leader of the council, Clifford Morris, who we had long suspected. At this point, you're probably thinking this is worse than Asons. By the time you finish watching this video, the only image in your mind will be the storming of the Bastille. And if you think we've already explained the worst parts, nope. This is how a charity must be administrated. The governing document must be upheld by the trustee, and any conflict of interest must be delegated to the Charity Commission. This is how Bolton Council administrated the charity. In 2016, Clifford Morris, the leader of the council and the sole trustee for the charity Leverhulme Park, gave £200,000 of taxpayers' money to build a Bolton Council planning application for a cycle track that was to be built on Leverhulme Park. As the cycle track was a clear violation of the covenant for its commercial and isolated use for a specific sporting group, the trustee had a duty to reject approval of the construction. So, what did Clifford Morris, the trustee of the charity Leverhulme Park, do? A. He delegated the decision to the Charity Commission because of his clear conflict of interest in approving £200,000 of taxpayers' money in support of this application. B. He rejected the application because of his high standards of public conduct embedded in the way he works as the sole trustee and upholding the covenant set out by Lord Leverhulme. C. He repeatedly referred to the charitable trust Leverhulme Park as Lord Leverhulme Charity, Leverhulme Estate, and then declared them as an external organisation he had approached regarding the cycle track. These imaginary trustees he had met in his own mind had then approved the construction on charitable land, not him. Of course it was C. And of course that is an incredible serious violation of a charity. We now all know he was the only trustee. Clifford Morris stole charitable land for a Labour councillor's planning application, and he would have got away with it had it not been for one person, Natalie Worthington, which we'll come to later. I know at this point you're wondering how much more corruption can there possibly be. This is how a charity must be administrated. Under no circumstances should charity land be used for commercial purposes, such as a five-a-side development, say with J.J. Boyle, which is now Premier Fives. This is how Bolton Council administrated the charity. In 1996-97, Labour councillors John Byrne and Linda Byrne, as part of a group, chose to dispose of charity land on Leverhulme Park in order to construct the five-a-side because they understood it was a violation of the covenant. They approached the son of Viscount Leverhulme and stated in their minutes they would require his consent to build the five-a-side. We have all those documents from the archives except one piece of paper, which is the consent letter from Viscount Leverhulme. Bolton Council refused to release or share this letter of consent, and we have now approached MP Yasmin Qureshi in order to request that she represents us in communication with Bolton Council to settle this one issue of many issues involving Leverhulme Park. This is how a charity must be administrated. Under no circumstances must charitable land be leased to a private club. This is how Bolton Council administrated the charity. In 2006, they leased a bowling green to a private club, Bolton Bowling Club, for 25 years. There is no grey area or misunderstanding by this point. Charity Commission and law can go to hell as far as Bolton Council is concerned, because they're going to exploit that land for their own purposes and nobody will ever find out. Or so they thought. This is how a charity must be administrated. The trustee must approve any disposal, land swap or construction on charitable land. This is how Bolton Council administrated the charity. They built an athletic stadium, physiotherapy, gym and child centre on Bolton Council land and the charitable land in 2004. The then acting council leader did not contact the Charity Commission, nor did they take any action to resolve the matter till 2007-2008. This action only occurred because local residents raised the issue of them stealing the land to the Charity Commission. Bolton Council then swapped land on Long Lane that they owned for stolen land they had taken to build a stadium. Not content with stealing land, they then used the 1972 Acts to keep all minutes of their dodgy dealing from the public. Effectively, the charity lost a stadium and all that income in exchange for a patch of grass. That's a pretty good deal for Bolton Council. Finally, on the 22nd of June, we reported Bolton Council to the Charity Commission for their illegal activities. On Monday, the 10th of July 2017, Bolton Council Cabinet meeting met to discuss serious failings of the handling of the charity by the legal department and trustee. At this meeting, in which they had hoped to admit their failings as being incompetence rather than corruption, they made matters only worse. The trustee for the charity, Clifford Morris, did not declare his conflicts of interest in said meeting.
Are there any declarations of interest? No. Are there any declarations of interest? No. I'm sure you would want to know under the freedom of information. They will get their answers. And some of the people that were named in there didn't even do what was said they did. So I think sometimes if people are going to do this, then they should be sure of their facts.
He sat with a watchful eye over opposition councillors who discussed his failures as the trustee. In not declaring his conflict of interest, he violated the Code of Conduct for Councillors, honesty and integrity, and any attempt to state he forgot he was the trustee or the matter slipped his mind will be an excellent example of why Bolton Council should be stripped of all 4 charities in their guardianship if they cannot remember who the trustee is. The Charity Commission has failed in their duties and they need to take very strong action to restore public confidence. Their abilities as an authority to protect charities has been undermined. Had this been Joe Bloggs, an ordinary member of the public responsible for these actions, we have no doubt that person will be in jail. Without serious consequences for these failings, the Charity Commission are opening the floodgates for other charities to exploit charitable land and charitable finances. As we bring this video to a close, we have just a few sentences for you to contemplate. Tip of the iceberg. And you're also probably wondering how all this came out. Well, here's a video clip of Natalie Worthington putting the fear of God into Morris because she filed a judicial review against the council over all this corruption.
That will be done. That will be done. That will be done at the right time when it needs to be done. But we got it wrong. So at the end of the day, we're looking at this. We're listening to people.
In the next video, we explain how this current council, unlike other councils, cannot plead ignorance. This council, under Helen Gorman, the borough solicitor, and Clifford Morris, actively, willfully and intentionally exploited the charity for the Labour Party.